Crypto. Bitcoin has broken my line in the sand, and today we've got to take a serious look at Bitcoin to try to determine what we can expect out of the market. And to put this in perspective, we first need to take a look at the dollar, which I'm zooming out on the monthly chart. Right here is 20 years ago. We're slowly edging up to that mark. Now, true, the dollar is in a bearish pattern, but that really hasn't mattered for the last 13 years. It just keeps climbing up, and that is part of the problem that we're having now. Typically, when the dollar goes up, Bitcoin and altcoins usually suffer. And since the beginning of February, after we had such a beautiful run from Bitcoin as the dollar started dropping, it has been slowly going back up, and we've been feeling that pain. And while we can expect some periods of it to decline again, it is actually showing signs that it wants to take off pretty strongly fairly soon. And that is part of the problem that we're having right now. Now, the issue that I have with Bitcoin, and I'm here on the daily chart, we've overall established that we are in a rising channel. And this dotted line here comes back to this point, connects the bottom of this point here, the bottom here, the bottom here, and we've broken below that. In essence, we're looking at this as being the top half of a channel, and we also have 2 points down here, which would be the low point of the channel that we can definitely hit. The general rule is when we break that line in the sand, we're coming down. There's a lot of hope out there that this could be a fake out, and we could break back into this pattern and continue up. That's very valid. That could definitely happen. And there's still some signs saying that, that could still play out. But the probabilities are highly unlikely that it does. There would have to be an enormous amount of capital to come into the Bitcoin market. And it doesn't take a genius to look at the FUD that has just been constantly bombarding the crypto space, that whatever powers that be that may have a say-so in the direction of where this goes, clearly do not want it to go higher at this point in time. So please understand, long-term, I am very bullish on Bitcoin. I believe that it is the world's saving grace and a global movement by the people against the global movement by the elites. This gives us an edge in the world. But this very unexpected run has created a lot of controversy, a lot of animosity in the crypto space. A lot of people missed out on this. A lot of big money missed out on this move, and they're not happy. They will be much more happier if they can get in somewhere around 17 to 19,000. Any mark below 20,000 is a prime target for institutional buyers. There is some evidence pointing that this may just be a fake out for retail to get everybody scared to start dumping, and then price could bounce back in here and take off. Let's not take that off the table. And the main reason that I say that is because lately the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust prices have been going up. Those prices are up 67% since the beginning of the year. A lot of it, of course, due to the pump in Bitcoin price. But however, as we see Bitcoin dropping, we're seeing Grayscale prices go up. A long-standing theory among analysts has been that the bear market will not be considered over until the Grayscale premium sets itself right. And that's currently in the process of happening here. So definitely want to advise you to watch this, because the charts are telling me we got an inverted head and shoulders possibly forming here. They could drive these prices back up probably to around $18. So I want to put this on your radar just to be skeptical about what's going on in the market right now, because those two scenarios are real. However, the technicals are spelling out that we should come down, and maybe we'll see the price of Bitcoin come down as the Grayscale Trust kind of offsets that premium and they kind of balance out. Maybe that's how this works out. But I am watching this area closely. If I do see this break back into this pattern, basically meaning if we recover this area about 22,300 and hold that for support, this bullish scenario could play out. Now, on the daily, it's very important that I point out that this 9-day moving average has crossed over the 50. That's a very strong sell signal in my book. And the fact of us being below this line, I'm waiting for this daily candle to close to see if it closes below this line or not. And that will give me a little bit more information. But usually what we find is that when we start coming into this cloud, this is considered no man's land, not supposed to open up trades or close trades when you're in this position. But my findings have found that when we come into the green cloud, it wants to spit us out on the bottom. Now, every once in a while, you gotta get a bounce to the upside. And we are at this 382 Fibonacci level. We found support here previously. We could possibly come back down to this 21,500, find support there, kind of make a double bottom scenario. The only scary thing about that is that sets us up for a head and shoulders pattern, which would definitely bring us down to these lower areas. Perhaps that's what we're looking at. So just because we break this line does not necessarily mean that we necessarily have to go straight down. We could also come back up for another bearish retest, which kind of also gives us that little head and shoulders type feel. So all these scenarios are very real and could play out. The next biggest sign that I'll be looking for is for this red 21-day moving average to cross over that 50. And as that happens, that definitely pushes us down more. The good things we have going is that the 100 cross over the 200. So it's likely if we do come down to the downside, maybe retesting the 200 wherever it falls, maybe about 19.8, we should find support there. And also we may just retest this 100-day moving average somewhere around this area, about 20,600, 20,800. Those are the situations I'm actually looking at, and that would line up with the support area over here about 20,700. It also makes sense since this move from the very bottom to the very top, Dow theory suggests when you get a big impulsive move like that, price retraces to the halfway mark, which puts us here at 20,338. So those are the situations that I'm looking at overall for Bitcoin. This is a good point when I like to look at my indicators to see what's going on. Now, on the daily, we see that the stochastics have bottomed out. Now, the bad thing is that money flow is coming down. VWAP is kind of trying to flip over, round off, and go to the downside. So usually what we can expect here, yeah, we can get some green dots and get some little moves to the upside, but this is usually when this lower momentum wave is kind of speckled with a few red and green dots. We kind of go down and sideways. Now, before we give the daily 100% weight, we want to check the weekly, because the weekly is saying we need to come down, we need to cool off. And all these signs are pointing to the downside. Monthly, of course, still looks fairly good. This kind of implies to me that we're in a slow downward bleed and that we'll come down and finally find support somewhere. And maybe it won't be all the way down to 17,000, 19,000. Maybe it'll only be down to 21,000. We've got to keep our eyes on the charts, but it is nice to see that the stochastics are bottoming out on the daily, not just on the daily, but also on the 3-day, also on the 12-hour, getting close on the 8-hour, taking a turn on the 6-hour, got a green dot, and the stochastics and everything are taking a turn on the 4-hour. So those are giving us some implications that will at least come up, if nothing else, for a bearish retest. But what we've been finding over these past few days, that even when we get bullish divergences on these time frames, say the 4-hour, the 1-hour, our moves to the upside have not been that strong. Our moves to the downside have been stronger. The one thing that I will say that if we look at how price history was playing back before we got this big move, if you remember back through all of this, any situation that we were in where we broke a trend line like this, it would have been an immediate strong dump. However, this time we are really clinging to the underside of this trend line. It has not been just a big retest and then, oh, that's it. Ooh, let's drop. We have not experienced that. The cloud is starting to thicken up a little bit, and it just suggests that we're going to hang out here probably for a little while until we just get tired and just start dropping a little bit more. Probably something a lot similar to what we've seen here and what we've seen over here. So in general, that's what I'm expecting, because this is a line in the sand. I have to make my decisions based on this, and now I'm short. I'm being bearish on Bitcoin for the time being until we figure out what it's going to do. But I don't put it past the people who have the ability to manipulate things, to try to fake out retail and surprise us all, get us all depressed with all the FUD and all the news and all the questionable regulation arguments that are being thrown out here left and right to discourage us. It's really a very tricky situation. And the only thing that I can do is go by this line in the sand. If we come back up, retest that, find support, it's on, we're bullish. And I consider that a safe place to get back in, reestablish a position for some more upside. But that's the sign that I have to see. Currently, I'm looking for that official bearish retest, which has technically been confirmed a couple of times, but we haven't seen downward action. But any breaks below these lines, 21.8 and lower, especially any break below 21.5, definitely spells more downside for Bitcoin. So trade carefully and be especially careful with the altcoins because they depend on Bitcoin. And if this information has been helpful, hit the like button, maybe comment and subscribe below. Let me know what you think about Bitcoin and where you think the prices are going. Until next time, my name is Lane, your Crypto Road Dog, reminding you that you are still in crypto at the best time. Even when it's a little iffy, and play your cards right, you will be handsomely rewarded in the future. Be blessed. And remember, you got this, baby.
Gary was a man who thought he could do crypto sharing at the SEC. Gary fooled us all. We thought he was a hero teaching blockchain at MIT. We'll get back, long get back. Get back and leave crypto alone. Get back, I'll get back. Get back and leave crypto alone. Get back, Gary. You ain't nothing but a Goldman Sachs bagger.